your hands, everybody, if you got what it takes. Cause I'm Kurtis Blow, and I want you to know that these are the breaks.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the Honorable, now Minister, Kurtis Blow.
Wait, this is my man Benny Negro, yo. Word up, man. Don't get it twisted. He representing that real stuff, dogs.
Yeah, man. Thank you for that, man. Kurtis Blow has done a lot for our community. He also has done a lot for hip hop. And I am honored to be here with the man right here. Kurtis, how did it come about, you becoming a minister?
It was basically a transitional period in my life where, you know, I got saved. It wasn't one thing that, you know, the Holy Spirit came down and hit me, boom, and I dropped to my knees, you know. I wish, you know, that would have happened, but no, it was a gradual thing from in 1992 over in LA.
Okay.
At the Church on the Way, which is Pastor Jack Hayford.
Okay.
He's a legend in the Christian world. And so after I got saved, you know, and I started going to church more and more and more, and then I started with Bible studies at my house. Did that for about 3 years, man. And I left LA and came back to New York.
Right.
And got on the radio, Sirius Satellite Radio.
Right.
And during that time is when I actually got back into church.
Right.
And I went up to the Bronx, and the church was called the Trinity Episcopalian Church.
Okay.
And so the pastor up there, what they call them fathers, you know, Episcopalians are more like Catholics.
Right.
He was doing an event.
Okay.
A special event honoring the pioneers of hip hop.
Wow.
So me and Grandmaster Kaz, and, Waterbed Kev, and a couple other people, we went up there and they gave us plaques, they gave us Bibles and honored us.
Nice.
And it was a nice sermon, you know, like a church worship service.
Right.
And I saw gospel rappers doing their thing.
Wow.
I was like, wow, this is kind of tight,
Right.
you know. So I went to the father. His name is Father Tim.
Okay.
And I said, man, this was a great event. We need to do this, you know, more and more and more every week.
That's right.
You know, he said, wow, that's a great idea. He said, what would you call it? I said, well, let's call it the Hip Hop Church.
Wow.
So he said, wow, that's a good name. But you know, we're Episcopalians, so we don't have church, we have mass. So we're gonna name it the Hip Hop E-Mass. So we did that for a while, about 6 months.
Wow.
But we had our differences, Father Tim and I eventually left and came back down to Harlem and met Pastor Stephen Pogue here at the Greater Hood Memorial AME Zion Church.
Right.
And Reverend Stephen Pogue opened up the doors of this church, and that's when it took off.
Wow.
And he said, okay, we can call it Hip Hop Church too.
Wow.
So it really became successful here, and then all the newspapers and magazines and, you know, CNN and VH1, MTV, BET, everybody, daily news. I never thought in my wildest dreams ever that, you know, I would wear a collar.
Right.
But that just goes to show you, you know,
God is good.
You don't know the power of God. God is awesome.
That's right. When you first started rapping, you've been pastoring since the beginning.
Oh yeah.
It's just now channeled into God.
Right.
So I want you to elaborate a little bit more. What's the feeling that you get when you're pastoring in the church?
It's the best feeling in the world. I enjoy preaching and giving sermons so much more than I do performing.
Really?
And being out there on stage and rapping. Yes.
Wow.
And it's so much more worthwhile.
Right.
There is a direct correlation between the rapper and a preacher.
That's right.
Between the rapper and a politician, between a rapper and an orator.
Right.
Because we are orators.
Right.
And I'll prove it to you because, you know, I figured this out a long time ago, 30 years ago, when I first went to college.
Right.
I wanted to major in a field that was relative to hip hop.
Okay.
So I started searching all the different fields out there. Oh man, it's not politics. Oh, maybe a little bit, but It's not, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't know. Communications. Let's think about that. All right. A rapper is a public speaker.
That's right.
He's an orator.
That's right.
Communications, speech broadcasting. The DJ is on the radio. Okay, radio DJ in the club. Okay, that's communications. That's radio.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We as rappers are more like radio personalities. You know,
right.
except we just put it on a record.
Yeah.
Or we do it in a club. You know, or we do it at a concert. So the relationship is there. So I majored in communications.
Wow.
Specialized in speech broadcasting.
Wow.
Now, when I did that, here's where I found the direct correlation.
Right.
Okay. I was taking all these speech classes in order to get my raps. Like, you know, I wanted to be this best rapper, this best radio DJ, best
right.
rapper. So, you know, I started taking all the classes, voice and diction.
Wow.
Tonality. English, so very important.
That's right.
In rapping.
Right.
People don't even know this.
Vocabulary is very important.
Vocabulary. Come on. And there was a class I took called The Art of Rhetoric.
Okay.
Which is the art of persuasion.
Okay.
You know, when you're giving speeches, you have to win your audience over. If
right.
you have a point of view, a contention, so you have to present it to the people,
right.
and then you want them to agree.
Right.
If they agree, then your speech was successful. You know,
right.
if you can go out there and motivate someone,
right.
then you're successful. Your speech was successful. If you can go out there, you know, some cats go out there and motivate and rally people right before the basketball game.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? Or whether it's before you go to war.
Wow.
You got the captain. He's
wow.
up there motivating his troops.
That's right.
You know, so all of this it plays in the part of the art of persuasion.
Right.
In those classes, I sort of like say, all right, raps are sort of like speeches.
Right.
You know, you have your intro, you have your body, you have your conclusion.
That's right.
Okay, you have different kinds of speeches, and I'm the first guy to do this, right? I sat back and analyzed rap and said, okay, wow, raps are like speeches. So we have a demonstrative speech, which is a speech that talks about different subjects. Like you can have a speech about Christmas,
Right.
or you can have a speech about basketball.
Right.
You know, a demonstrative speech. So, okay, I understand that,
Right.
as you can see.
Right.
Then you have speeches that motivate people.
Right.
Of course, motivational, inspirational speeches.
Right.
You have political or social relevant speeches,
Right.
or political speeches. You can have gossip speeches, you know, that talk about different people.
Right.
Here's one for you. An extemporaneous speech is a speech that's off the cuff. It's not prepared. You don't write it.
Right.
It's off the cuff. It's off the top of the head,
That's right.
which is just like a freestyle.
Right.
So all of these different categories,
Wow.
these kinds of speeches are kinds of raps.
Wow, that's
You have
deep.
your intro, your body, your
That's right.
conclusion.
That's
You
right.
need your voice. You need to rap from the diaphragm.
That's
Instead of like, they taught us this in school, man. I learned this in school. We as rappers are more like singers. The best singers sing from the diaphragm, from your stomach. That's where your power comes from. Right below your stomach. It's where all the force comes in and blows and mixes with your vocal cords, and this is how we communicate. So if you really want that power, that power comes from down here. You know, that's my strong voice when I bar.
Right.
You know what I mean? I push it out from way down here. When I do that on the microphone, cats hear me, they be like, wow, that little guy, man.
Right. Yourself, Nas, Jay-Z, Notorious B.I.G. I've noticed with you guys, it comes from right here. Because you can hear everything that you're saying.
Yeah, it takes a couple of years of practicing.
Right.
Rapping from the diaphragm, and I tell my son, I tell all my proteges that, and here's a big point. The reason you don't hear a lot of cats is because they cut the microphone.
Right.
And if you got the mic and you see the little hole, the mic is here's the whole ball of the mic in your hand like this. So this is the only little part is showing right here.
Right.
And you're rapping like this. But if you just pull it back and don't cup the mic and hold it like a regular singer, I mean, you could be hip hop with it, hold your mic however you want, but just hold it from the bass and leave that ball, exposed all by itself.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that's when you get the full vocal that comes out.
Wow, this is a big lesson here that we're learning.
Don't cup the mic. I tried to tell Run DMC that they didn't listen, man.
You were the first rapper to get signed to a major label.
Oh yeah, it was an incredible day.
Well, let us know how you felt, man.
Well, actually, what happened was, we made my first song, Christmas Rap.
Right.
My producers, J.B. Moore, Robert Ford,
Right.
they went out to 22 different labels.
Wow.
Mind you, this is 1979, and the Sugar Hill Gang was the hottest thing on the radio.
Right.
Rappers Delight was playing everywhere. Like you hear that Jay-Z song, New York, it's playing like that, right? Even twice as much.
Right.
So they went out searching for a record deal with this new song, Christmas Rap.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody hated it. Out of 22 labels, they all hated it.
Wow.
Except for 2 labels. The first guy was, his name was Corey Robbins.
Okay.
He was the A&R director for Panorama Records.
Okay.
He loved the song, right?
Right.
So, oh man, we do something with this. So he went to his bosses. He's A&R, so he had to go to vice president and president. He went to them and they shot it down. Oh, we hate it, right?
Wow.
So we couldn't sign him. But eventually, Corey Robbins quit. He quit about 6 months after that. Formed his own label called Profile Records.
Right.
And 2 years later, about 2 years later after he signed Run DMC.
Wow.
Okay? So that's Corey Robbins.
Wow.
The other guy who liked the record was an English fellow. His name was John Staines. He was the A&R director for Polygram Records over in London.
Wow.
Oh, we really like this record, chap. We can recoup this record in 6 months. Let's sign him up. So I got the record deal.
Wow.
And Mercury Polygram in London.
In London. So did you?
I was a London artist.
You had to fly out to London to get
I
signed?
flew out to London. Yeah, I was the first rapper to go to London, to go to Europe.
Period.
Yep. So
you hear that? The first rapper to go to Europe. This is historic right here. What we doing? Yeah.
So he signed me up, and I was an import artist. My songs came back to America as an import.
So does that mean more money?
No, it was just strange.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Harlem.
Right.
And then my songs come all the way from London to
Wow.
Harlem. So I'm like, wow, this is strange.
Wow, that's
But
good. Were you a
that
happy
was nice.
man? Were you a happy man?
Oh, it was incredible. It was the best time of my life. I was
right.
20 years old, young kid, straight out of Harlem, man.
Right.
Got to tour,
Right.
travel. So being signed to a major label means that there's major press.
Right.
That means that they have an office in every major city around the world.
Right.
So I was doing the promo.
Wow.
Just me and one of my producers, me and J.B. Moore, would fly everywhere. We would go. I was the first to go to France, first to go to Italy, first to go to Berlin, first to go to Amsterdam, Red Light District, first to go to Japan, all that stuff. Man, I was traveling there, and everywhere I went, my record company had it set up in their office. When I got there, 12 o'clock was this magazine. 11, 1 o'clock was this newspaper. Then I had to do radio at 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock was TV. You know what I'm saying? So they had it all set up, all the media.
Right.
So it was documented.
So that's very important.
Well documented.
Right.
Yes.
How do you feel the way hip hop is going now?
I take my hats off to them. I take my hat off to a lot of the kids that are out there. I support them.
Okay. Who are the few that you support?
Oh man, I love them all, man. From Jay-Z to Eminem to Nas to 50 to Snoop.
Okay.
I love them all. You know, it's my job to love them all.
That's right.
I can't show favoritism, but I will say that the raps today are faster.
Right.
They're wittier.
Right.
They're more complicated, you know. And it's kind of hard to keep up with all the new styles. And for an old schooler, you know, it takes a lot of little something to keep up. But you know, there's mad flavor, you know, a lot of variety, and mad styles from the dirty South to the West Coast with, you know, the Midwest with Common over there in Chicago with Kanye, and St. Louis with Nelly. You got the traditional New York, you know. But you know, the main thing I see that's amazing to me is when we first started rapping, we were rapping in English. Like, our records went overseas, and you know, I get fans, you know, oh, I learned how to speak English from your song The Breaks, you know. Wow. And Wyclef Jean says that he learned English by rehearsing The Breaks. And big shout out to Wyclef. And Haiti, man, I love you. Haitian people, I love you, man.
Same here.
God bless you.
God bless the Haitian.
Right?
Yep.
But you know, that's what it was. We rapped in English. But now, if you go outside of America, you go to Germany, they rap in German.
That's right.
You go to France, they rap in French, Italy, Italian, Japan, Japanese. It's crazy. It's just like the culture has moved outside of the United States, and all of the countries outside of America have embraced it and made it their own.